Original forests have evolved naturally without any human intervention. Human activity has caused forests to decrease in their extent, which has connected with traditional ways of living, animal farming and pasture expanding. Forests are also affected by extensive and frequent fires. In areas where forests cannot naturally regenerate, or in places where they want to modify a tree species composition after the logging reforestation, using seedlings from nurseries takes place. We can distinguish two ways of cultivation in tree nurseries. On beds straight in the soil we grow bare root seedlings. Seedlings with a covered root system are grown in special forester containers or permeable tubes filled by a prepared substrate. Our project in the Domokht-Sharingol area uses a Czech technology called Patrik, invented by engineer Josef Stretetsky. Production of container seedlings is technologically more complex and therefore more expensive, but from a long-term perspective a better solution. Every plant carries fertilized substrate from the nursery to the permanent position in a forest. The root-covered system is seldom damaged by manipulation as a bare can often be. Moreover, the reforesting period is expanded because we can plant seedlings bursting into leaves. For a nursery construction, it is necessary to have a reliable water source nearby. We are pumping water from the original source into the tank where it partially warms up. From the tank, the water for irrigation is taken. Furthermore, we have enough space for a shading area for preparing a substrate and other manipulation, also warehouses and a small workshop. Plastic greenhouses have to possess good gravel drainage covered by sand and foil. Gravel and sand needs to be compacted and rolled. At the same time, water tanks for temperature balancing are being built and pumps installed. After that, the tank can be filled with water from the original source, in this case, the well by the small stream. Greenhouse metal constructions are being covered with foil and irrigation and being installed throughout the nursery. Irrigation has been installed in a way that the whole area of the greenhouse and shadings is covered. Inside greenhouses where the container seedlings will grow, grade bearers are placed to create 3 beds and 2 paths through the whole greenhouse. Collected cones, for example, from spruce, larch or pine, are needed to be dried and seeds released first. For spruce or larch, we can, for example, use sunny weather. It is important that there are only good seeds left after husking. Larch cones collected from individual superior trees in order to start a Siberian larch, Larix sibirica, plantation were husked in an empty greenhouse.
Strom číslo 18, Erigol.
The tree, number 18, does not look bad. Cones are open, we can start husking.
Každý strom má svoje evidenční číslo.
Every superior tree has its own evidence number. Each of them are husked separately and their seeds are put in separate bags.
Jedli sibirskou, Abies sibirica.
Our colleagues have also collected Siberian fir, Abies sibirica, which needs to be dried out and husked later. Finally, we have a few cones from stone pine, Pinus sibirica. For husking pine, it is better to use special equipment. Then, it is necessary to clean the seeds and examine their quality in a seed laboratory. Before sowing itself, seeds have to undergo pre-sowing preparation and do stratification. Using this process, we can modify germination attributes. Clean pine seeds are soaked and stored in a temperature of 5 degrees for 48 hours, preferably in a fridge. After this time passes, the seeds are drained and while wet, returned to the 5-degree temperature fridge for a respected number of days. For example, Scots pine for 21 days, Siberian larch for 21 days, and stone pine for 90 days before sowing. After this time period, seeds are dried up on the surface and are treated with fungicide, in our case, Dithane neotec, with 75% active substance composed by mancozeb. Substrate which is composed of good quality soil, sawdust and manure is prepared as compost in Mongolian conditions way ahead of time. Minimally a year, optimally 2 years before using. Compost must be watered and tossed regularly. We sow into sowing bowls or dunaman hotbeds. Sowing of stratificated seeds is done as early in spring as possible, but always when an irrigation system is ready. The volume of seeds is based on laboratory results of germination. Seeds are weighed on laboratory scales. Sown areas are watered regularly in order to keep the substrate always moist. Temperature in greenhouses needs to be watched and regulated by ventilation or watering. After the seeds germinate, they need to be checked regularly and fungicide treatment needs to be started to protect seedlings from infection, which can be besides others caused by fungi, fusarium, and other pathogens. If foresters do not prevent that in time, the whole sow of a year can be lost. Following safety regulations is important. Weeding is also important. It is one of the activities students from a university were involved in, besides the Demot Sharingol regular employees. In spring, we also collect last year's seedlings and replant them into permeable sleeves. The sleeves are filled with substrate using a special filler. A sleeve of substrate is soaked in a small tank. After soaking, the sleeve is cut into 10 cm long cylinders, and using a special pricking needle, last year's seedlings are planted. Seedlings are placed into plastic growing bearers. The capacity of one unit is 30 saplings. A big advantage of using them is the possibility to replace a dead seedling for a new one. Using a modified wheelbarrow, these units are transported to the greenhouses, placed on the grape bearers and watered immediately. The temperature is also watched and modified by ventilation or watering. From Monday to Friday, seedlings are being fertilized using a hand sprayer. Active substances in the fertilizer changes. It contains more nitrogen from the beginning of the growing season and more potassium at the end of the summer to help the tree rings to lignify. Depending on the type of tree, we apply fungicides as well. For example, against Lopodermium seditiosum on a pine. Seedlings are regularly checked for pests and weeded. In the middle of August, seedlings and saplings are moved into the shaded area to get used to the temperature. The plants will overwinter here. They are being watered until the first frost comes. We are using the relocation also for sorting the saplings out and inventory. Shading must be constructed to optimize climatic conditions and enables the plants to get covered by snow, which maintain life conditions in the substrate and protects plants from freezing and drying out. When the first snow and frost comes, the nursery starts preparing for its winter sleep. Plants are covered with sawdust to protect them from freezing through. During the winter, the shading is regularly checked. Winter and especially spring sun is very dangerous for conifers with not yet defrosted roots that can lead to drying out of plants by early transpiration. Winter and the beginning of spring is used for the sowing area's preparation. They are cleaned out if needed using a soil tiller. Exposed areas are fenced to protect them against wild and domestic animals. Less exposed areas are treated with repellents.
Pomocným způsobem, že mu vlastně pomůžeme při obnově.
Sazenice je prokořenilá tady v tom balu.
The reforestation project was visited by apprentices from the Such Batar Forestry School. After a welcome, engineer Martin Smoller introduced the reforesting project for each area. Saplings are needed to be sorted out once again and healthy ones to be transported into the field for planting. Planting is done in lanes if possible, with regular spacing, which will ease future care in summer months. During the summer season, it is necessary to protect the saplings against weeds using a mechanical cut weed control, which prevents the youngsters from being overlaid and suffocated. In the areas protected from animals by repellents, coating is taking place. Plants are coated in a way to primarily protect a terminal bud. Under construction, the first 2 years of the nursery operation took place in field conditions. It was necessary to manage construction work, nursery operations, continuous training in high tree cone harvest, husking and seed preparation, how to sow, how to operate the nursery, fertilize and how to prepare the seedlings and saplings for winter. And last but not least, how to prepare and cultivate the planting areas, how to plant the saplings and take care of them. During the season, we hosted visitors from other forester projects like the GIZ, from the Forest Research and Development Center in Ulaanbaatar, Kongor, and Darkhan Department of Environment, from Selenge, Solman, etc. One of the biggest challenges was a workshop organized for the Association of Foresters and Land Tenants, which took place in September and was financed by the Embassy of the Czech Republic. The event was attended by 100 applicants from all over Mongolia, including Director Mrs. Tungalag and Mr. Baibatar from the Ministry of Environment and Tourism.
Z české strany velký dík našim českým expertům.
Která by měla tady mezi námi vlastně nastat a
гадаадын төсөл хөтөлбөрүүд олон манай монголчууд бид нар бөөнөрөө одоо
40 маань өөрөөр хэлбэл бидний одоо гол тулгуур болсон хорон нутагтад хайж одоо нөхцөлийн намтараад 12 оны 12
Jeden rok staré.
Znamená všichni vy, kteří tady dneska jste, a já věřím, že to lesnické hospodaření.
Obnovu toho lesa to tady extrémní.
Forests bring us many benefits, but also require regular care and periodical regeneration. The basic maintenance is reforestation after logging, protection of plants until grown from the threat of weed and damage caused by animals. The Center of Sustainable Forest Management, which was established within the project of the Czech-Mongolian cooperation in the Demok Sharingol, properties show us one possible way of restoration of the Mongolian forests, their management and reasonable exploitation.